Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Living Well with Dr. Sheila. I am your host, Dr. Sheila Craig Whiteman, Doctor of Physical Therapy. Our show always focuses on ways that you can live well or live life better. That is the hope that anybody who's watching these shows can get something, a little tidbit, or even a lot of knowledge on how they can live their best life, because it's all about living your best life. You can watch this show on Roku, Amazon TV, Google TV, Amazon Fire, and listen to it on iTunes. So today we have an interesting guest. I am really anxious to hear about her topic. Her name is Claudia Kaldenbach. See, she told me how to say her last name, Kaldenbach. And she is a plant-based weight loss for health coach. So I'm going to read a little bit about her bio, and then we're going to bring her on, and we're going to just discuss different ways that the plant-based or even the way you eat can help you to live better and feel better, because it's all about feeling better also. So her bio, after failing on many diets, we can all relate, number one, she turned vegan in 2016 by accident, lost about 8 kilos. She's in the UK. But like all previous diets, it all came back again, not knowing what she was doing, struggling for 4 years in the kitchen and in her busy life. She ended up obese and on medicine. She began to dedicate her life to discovering what would work and went on a quest only interested in scientific proof. Merging several new insights, she created a lifestyle formula, Alive, which focused on health while having fun and without giving up guilty pleasures. She has a Facebook group, a Facebook page, Eat for Challenge Revolution. And on that, she shares about health, innovation, and sustainability in order to bring hope for a greener, healthier, and happier planet. Her slogan is, "The best is yet to come." And she has plans. She doesn't have plans. She says she's never going to retire as long as she can make an impact on the world. I'm with you on that, Claudia. I really am. So we're going to bring her onto the studio in just a second. Here she comes. There she is. There she is.
There I am.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So I just want to start out. I like to start out with all my guests by asking them, and in your intro, you did tell us a little bit about your journey, but to give us a little bit more on just why this happened, or just or even why your first diet failed, which would be interesting.
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to
Me
be on
too.
your show.
Yes.
And I loved all the interviews I've seen with you. So I'm glad that I can be the one talking now with you
Yes.
instead
Thank
of
you.
watching you. So yeah, it's a bit a weird story because I I cannot remember when it started that I first went on a diet. So I will be 30 years married soon, and the moment that I came into the family of my husband, it was always an issue with them that you should be slim. And at that time, I was about let me think, about 21 years old, 19, 20, that age. I weighed about My weight was 67 kilos, so you can double that into pounds. And with my height, that was actually a normal weight. But my husband always made jokes that he would ask me to marry him if I would weigh 33 kilos. So I was already dieting without knowing that I had actually a pretty good weight. But as a child, I was already always a bit of a fatty. If I see photos of myself, I didn't like to be on the photo because I was really a fat girl. So maybe that was still in my head. And I think, looking back now, because of the dieting, that the yo-yo effect uh, came to life. Because the moment that you lose weight and you don't change your habits, then the weight comes back and some more. And that's, I think, a problem that a lot of women can relate to. So it was only last year that I really discovered what the real issue was, that I had gained weight and that I was not able to keep it off.
Yeah, and so that being said, why do you there are a couple things in the intro though. I thought it's very interesting that from what the weight that you gave, in America we have to do math because you say kilos or pounds, and I know
Yeah,
it's a little 2.2 whatever. So, but you said that, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty good weight. And then you
yeah,
said,
yeah,
yeah, that was a pretty good weight.
yeah.
So I just do want to say that to the audience because that's she was not really overweight. She just
No,
wanted to be, yeah, she just wanted to be smaller for the reasons that she had given us. But why do you think obesity is becoming such a problem, and it's actually throughout the world, the world that has more. I'll put it that way, because of course some countries that is not the case. But why is in obesity increasing?
yeah, it was interesting because the moment that I realized there was something wrong, that was the moment that COVID hit. So I knew I had to find some solution in eating plant-based. So I already was vegan, and it made me lost some weight, but I got back into the bad habits. And then when COVID hits, I thought, now I don't have a choice anymore because I'm an obese and I'm chronically ill because I'm taking high blood pressure medicine. So there are two factors that that I have to take serious. So I need to find it now. There was an urgency, and I could not no longer walk away from it or hide it or compare myself with women that are uh, fatter than I was, because that's what I did, and talk it out of my head. And I said, "Oh, I look pretty good, and I have lots of energy, and I'm not that bad. Look at her." So there was always an excuse not to do something with it. But it had a lot to do with not knowing what you're doing wrong. So I will tell you that the moment that I was dedicated to discover what would work, I was shocked to find how the obesity pandemic was hitting our world. And that started, I'm talking about from the heart now, in 1984 when the fast food arrived. So fast food was the fat food, the high calories and low nutrition, so to say.
Yes.
And those are the dangerous foods that make us overeat, because our body is built on survival. So it's really easy to eat too much, because that's what our body is made for. That in times that you don't have any food, that you can still use the reserves that you have.
Right.
But currently we live in a world where we are surrounded by food all the time, and oftentimes by the wrong food. So if you ask me what's the reason for the obesity pandemic, that is that we eat the wrong food. Yes, so the fast food, the all the fat and the salt, and it's also the processed food. So
Right.
the processed food is everything you can buy in the supermarket that will hold longer than a few days. That is packaged. There's additives in it. It's highly profitable for a supermarket. They will not earn their money on the fresh produce and the fruits. That's good for us, but they will earn the money on the bad stuff, so to say. And it's all for our convenience. And sometimes you wonder what they now discovered again, some yogurt with some flavor in it. And then you think, hmm? Is that still yogurt?
Hmm.
There's so much created in products that we don't need.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that's the so those are two factors, and another factor is that uh, we are eating more now than decades ago.
Hmm.
So if we look at the portions, like when fast food started, and when you see how much meat people are eating now compared to decades ago, it is really, 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 yeah, out of hand. So I last read an article about, I believe, 3,500 or even 4,000 calories. What an American can eat, and that's way, way too much.
Yeah, yeah. The portion sizes are huge, and I do want to make a couple of comments too on what you said, because you were talking about going to the grocery store. The interesting thing about going to the grocery store, at least here, I can't talk about over um, in the UK, but here the processed foods actually are cheaper.
Hmm.
So fresh foods cost more,
Yeah,
and even the foods, it's almost like the foods with even more additives cost less. I don't know
yeah,
how that
yeah,
works. I
yeah,
really don't
yeah,
know. But if you look at it and the additive list is, sometimes it's a paragraph,
yeah,
it's really inexpensive. And if you want to buy something with, five or less ingredients, it's twice as much money.
yeah,
So, it's an economic issue also,
yeah.
really, which is
Yeah, and that's yeah. I live in the Netherlands, by the way.
oh, the
I have
Netherlands. Okay.
friends in the UK, but I'm in the Netherlands. It's also Europe, so
Hmm.
part of. But the interesting thing is that people that have not that much of an income, they need healthy food, but they cannot buy it
Find
because
it.
they are forced to buy the cheaper stuff, so to say.
Yes. Especially if you have a family, because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
certainly have to feed many people, and it becomes an economic. It just becomes a matter of economics.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but are you plant based strictly? Is that
Yes,
what I'm hearing?
yeah. I have been vegetarian in the past because I was trying. I didn't know how to lose weight on a plant-based diet, so I didn't know what I was doing wrong. So I tried low carb vegetarian. So I
Mhm.
lost some weight, but again, it came back. And I've learned later, so since last year, that we can eat fully plant-based and we can eat in abundance without hunger. That's what I like about plant based. And we can still lose weight. So we will have our body work with us instead of against us.
Mhm.
So I believe in a healthy, steady, slow, yeah, pretty slow, but slow. I lost 20 pounds in 2 months. I think that's pretty quick.
That is quick.
Huh?
Mhm.
And it's still gone and even more. So it can be done.
Mhm.
It can
Right.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
So
can be.
that's the good news, and yeah, and I think that's hopeful because it really touches my heart when I read stories of even of children that they are talking about operations of how to
Gastric bypass.
yeah, or even on young children of
Mhm.
10, 12 years, and I say, come on, please don't. It's it's so drastic.
Yeah, and there are can be complications from that, as with any surgery, because it is a major surgery.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's not the real issue. The real issue is about our habits. We have to reconnect with food again, and we have to see food like it's meant to be. It is
mhm.
to give nutrition to our body, and of course we can have pleasure from it, but it
Right.
should not be that we eat the wrong things that give us that pleasure feeling, because
Yes.
that's what's happening.
Yes, because it's associating food with pleasure, or with whatever need you have for emotional stability.
Yeah, yeah, that can be the issue too, but it can
Mhm.
be that because our body is a hormone factory. And each time that we do something that will keep us alive, our brain rewards us with a happy hormone. You know
Mm-hmm.
all about it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that dopamine that's giving us the reward. But it's the same dopamine that we get if we use social media, and it's the same dopamine that we get if we eat a cookie.
Right. Right.
So we have to learn how to feel good with the better choices.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you did talk about hormones. So, and I just, this is the first time meeting you. So I am a physical therapist that does pelvic health. So of
Hmm.
course we do a lot of work with hormones, menopause, et cetera, et cetera. So let's, segue because we talked about, you mentioned hormones. Let's talk about why um, more women can experience this issue during the menopause time and even perimenopause, because I always put that in because those changes start, really early in those 40s with the dropping in estrogen. So
Hmm.
why are women having more issues with, well, a lot of things, mood swings, depression, eating, can't lose weight. And I won't even mention anymore because that's a lot right there. I'll let you talk about that first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, if I see what women experience in menopause, I feel they're on a different planet than I am. They're really on the planet misery, and my heart goes out for them because they feel disconnected from their body. They lost their identity, and I think it's also has to do with the part of our life that we're in. So if I look at myself, our children have their own lives, so we have an empty nest. You might be used to planning your work around your kids, and now suddenly you don't have to do that anymore, and then all those physical and emotional changes are happening inside your body, and that's new. So you might feel desperate, not knowing what to do, and because of all the hormonal changes, we gain fat at body parts that we would not like to have it, and it's difficult to get rid of it. And I used to think that it wouldn't be possible, but it is. I Yeah, I was so surprised that it was possible to get rid of it despite of the hormonal phase that I'm in.
Yeah. So you're plant-based. Can you share with the audience what changes, positive or negative, if there are any negative, but what changes did you personally feel when you switched over to that type of diet? And what has it done for you?
Yeah. Well, we went plant-based by accident. That's one
Mm.
nice story. Our daughter is 16 years, and she kind of had a bad feeling about looking at raw chicken meat.
Yes. Hmm.
And she asked me, Mom, could we maybe, now it's summer holidays, could we maybe cook twice or three times a week vegetarian? And I said, well, I'm kind of busy because I also have another business for about 16 years now. I have a holiday rental for families to make people happy with their families. And it's always a busy time for me in the summer. So I said, Nadi, that's fine with me as long as you will cook.
Hmm.
And she said, okay, I will do that. So I said, well, fine, let's do that. And then we talked about it with our neighbor. And she said, oh, I might have a nice book for you with breakfast and lunch and dinner. Everything worked out, made by a nutritionist, I believe. So lots of recipes to work from. And it was a 50-day program. So we started the next day, and it was chocolate with raspberries. And I said, ooh, I like this. I don't mind. And it was after a few days that we noticed, that's weird. There's no egg in it, there's no meat in it. And then we discovered it was completely plant based. So that's how we turned vegan by accident. We committed to those 50 days. There were some recipes that were awful, but most of them were delicious, but they were so time consuming.
Yes.
So I said to her, this is great, but normal life starts again after the summer holiday. Then I have to cook again, and my husband have to cook again. So we have to find something practical. And then came the struggle of how can I cook healthy, delicious, easy meals and lose weight. So that's when the struggle started and the search. So I started with meat replacements. So I thought I did a good job there, but in fact those are the snacks under in the plant-based food, so to say. But I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't educated on real proper nutrition, like a lot of us are not. Uh, so you need to educate yourself if you have to figure it out yourself, or you have to find inspiration on how to do it and how to do it that it fits your life.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the results that you got, because you did say that you lost weight. Um,
Yeah, that was the first phase of vegan, and after that, veganizing my meals, the best I could do it. But I wasn't able to lose weight, so that I was 93. I was about 200 pounds, I think,
mhm,
last year May, and then I learned how to cook more naturally. So use natural food, avoid the processed food, and later on even avoid oil to cook
oh,
with. So
mhm,
use only the natural oil in plants and seeds, in seeds and nuts to fulfill your need of fat, and that's going really, really well.
are you still on the journey? Are you still on a journey of figuring out even more information on uh, this lifestyle, or do you think you have it down pat now?
I figured out. So the lifestyle I created was based up merging several insights that I found scientifically based, and I applied it on myself. And in the beginning, I wasn't sure if I could do it because I did see the success stories of people with plant-based that they were able to lose weight, but I didn't know if I could do it. So the moment that I noticed my body was changing, uh, I was celebrating. And I think that's what women need, especially women in menopause. They need to change the status quo they're in,
Hmm.
because the longer you're in a specific situation, the more you think that you cannot change it,
Right.
because you think you're to blame, you don't have enough willpower, or it's
Hmm.
it's your it's your fault. But I
Correct.
say it's not your fault, because you don't know what you don't know, and 99% of diets fail.
Yes.
So and people don't know it. They attempt 3-4 times a year. They attempt another diet, and other hype, and other get rid of this macro and forget that, and don't eat this and don't eat that.
Hmm.
But it can be really simple. You can just eat natural, delicious food, and change your lifestyle, because it's more than food alone. It's also about taking care of yourself. That's something I had to learn.
Hmm.
So if I talk with people, they ask me, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "You will put yourself and your food first right now,
Right. Right.
and
And
you can plan it."
planning, yeah, I would imagine you would have to plan, especially with the food. I think that's the thing that stops most people
Hmm.
from changing to a healthier lifestyle, is because they think it is so time consuming um, to eat real foods instead of foods that are already made for you.
Yeah, yeah. I can tell you that I have a busy life, and with my approach, I've calculated that you can save up till 4 hours a week if you plan your food. If you approach the entire process, such an important process in your life, but we put it last. It's like taking care of your feet. It's not my priority, you know. I have them,
Mhm.
but I could take better care of it. And I think it's the same. I just I just don't like feet. I don't know. There's something with it.
We all have something. So,
Yeah, yeah, something weird. Okay, sorry.
yeah.
But it's the same with food. It's so essential in our life. And what are we focusing on? We're focusing on building a business, making a career, taking care of our kids, what all kinds of activities we have, social media, our bookkeeping. There's so much to do. And then we put our food last, and then we wonder, oh, why am I not eating the right thing? Because
Hmm.
you didn't plan it. You didn't put it first, and that was my major frustration 1 year ago. Is that I felt successful in every area of my life. My other business was solid before Corona came.
Yeah. Hmm.
I had a pretty happy marriage. Next week, soon we will be 30 years. Yes, 30
Hmm.
years of marriage. I felt good about my own happiness, pretty good, but it was nagging me that I couldn't get my weight under control, my eating habits.
Hmm.
So that was nagging me, and it was making me insecure, and it was keeping me back from adding value to the world. That's really how I felt. I really felt stuck that it was keeping me from doing what I need to be doing.
Wow. And in your household, so your entire family changed their eating habits. Um, did everybody feel the same as you did? So, say for example, did it make that much of a difference to your 16-year-old in energy or happiness or anything like that?
Yeah, for our 16-year-old at the time, she had less problems with her monthly period. Normally, she had a lot of pain. That was less. Her skin was better. Also, better energy, uh,
Mm-hmm.
like I did. Um, so we really felt good. But we went, so to say, cold turkey. We went 100% in. That is not what normal people do.
Right.
Most of them, they do it gradually. But yeah, like I said, we are a bit weird, a weird story. We went vegan by accident, and yeah, after seeing the documentaries, we decided never to go back, because when you see the animal cruelty that's out there, and what's happening to our planet, there are so many boxes you can tick with eating more plant-based, that it's not that hard of a decision. Anyway, my husband was not with us right then, so
Ah.
he was still on the meat and the fish and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And our son um, had was out of the house. He started to live in Amsterdam by himself. He had a vegetarian friend, so he ate with her vegetarian. So he kind of went in that direction, but not completely. But
Mm-hmm.
now, 5 years further, my husband is a flexitarian, so he eats with me plant-based a few times a week, and sometimes he adds some fish to it. He still eats some egg, and he still eats some cheese, but he has stopped entirely with the meat.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
and now our daughter and our son are 100% vegan, as I am. So
Okay. And
so
that's actually what I was going to ask you if you
yeah,
are, because you started talking about eggs and cheese. So you're it's not so much vegetarian, you're vegan.
yes, I'm vegan. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I used to think that vegetarian people, that they would miss something. That their food would be boring. So I'm even a step. higher than a
Yeah.
step worse, so to say, if you would say it as a meat eater. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat eggs and don't eat cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Interesting. Interesting. So, and let's uh, flip the conversation a little bit because I want to talk to you about if you could talk a little bit about the relationship between food and heart disease.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Heart disease is disease number one,
Yes.
and I followed Dr. McGregor about. He wrote a book, How Not to Die. He writes a lot about the relationship between uh, food and disease.
Mm-hmm.
And the good news is that 95% of diseases could be prevented with the right lifestyle.
Right.
So only 5% is genetic. And I think that is really hopeful. At the same time, we must be aware that there's a lot of disease going on that is not necessary. And heart disease has been proven uh, to be uh, um, that can be even be reversed with a plant-based diet.
Correct.
It That's the only diet that has been proven to turn that around. And there's even people with diabetes as well that have been taking insulin for 20 years that can see a change in their blood values within weeks. So our body is really good in um, repairing itself if it gets the right nutrition.
Right. It has to have the right nutrition.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
Correct.
every time that we eat meat, there is so he's the doctor, I'm not, so I learned from him. Every time that we eat meat, there is an inflammation starting in our body, if I say it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
And your arteries will get with plaque, if I say it.
That is
Good.
correct too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
is correct.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot happening, and I think yeah, decades ago when there was less wealth in the world, we didn't eat meat every day,
Right. Right.
and it's the blue zones over the world where people live the longest and the healthiest,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them are plant based.
Right. Well, they don't eat anything processed because there's nothing
Yeah,
really
no,
processed even around them. So yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
yeah.
it's really interesting. The main cause of death over the world would not be from wars. It's shocking, but it would be from how we are eating.
Yeah. And that's yeah. It's all lifestyle because you
Yeah.
did mention genetics and a lot of there's a very high misconception that genetics plays a role in so many of our diseases.
Mm.
But it the role is really small.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
small.
For me, that was really a relief because I lost both my parents of cancer. So health has always been an issue in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I promised myself. Are you still there?
Yes, can you see me?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was just touching my my board on the
Oh,
computer.
well, don't touch anything.
You
Don't
were
touch
gone. I was
anything.
still hearing you. Good. So that's me. That's me. Um, so yeah, my father was only 53 when he died, and
Oh,
so I promised myself I had such a relationship with that age that I thought I make 53 my best year ever. I promised that to myself, and
mm-hmm.
that was the year that COVID came. That was the year that
Wow.
COVID came, and that was the year that, for the first time in my life, because I've been in business longer, I didn't know for 2 weeks how to handle the cancellations in my holiday home. I've never experienced it, so it was a new reality I'd lived in. And I must say, normally I'm an optimistic person, I wasn't optimistic at all then. I was really in a dark place and I didn't know how to solve it. And in the end, I solved it and I figured
Mhm.
out a way how to deal with it. But I think, yeah, we can all relate when you don't have, you only have control over yourself and not over the
Right.
circumstances. And now looking back, I think it's the best thing for me that happened, that I had to change, that I had to find out what worked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it might have happened later, but I'm glad that I took action and I took back control over my life, um, and and over my body.
Right.
And now I feel that, yeah, that I've learned something valuable. That I've been able to learn what, yeah, I
Yeah.
think a lot of doctors don't even learn in their education, which is such a pity because we all should be educated on this topic, on food.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And physicians are really educated on solving the issue generally with medication and
Hmm.
not with food. I know uh, the powers that be or the health advocates are trying to change that, but that
Yeah,
is that that's kind of what's ingrained, and you always have to people have to educate themselves and really look at other means, especially if they have, chronic, it doesn't even have to be chronic disease, acute disease, or even not feeling generally well,
yeah, yeah.
that
And
they,
I think life is too precious, so we should not take everything for granted and be grateful for the good things in life, but also take responsibility for what we can control.
correct. Yeah. Yeah. And gratitude and positive outlook also can fit into this discussion,
Yeah,
because those are two things too that are really beneficial for your overall health.
yeah. Yeah, and that's what I found so terrible, that people that were alone and depressed, and that if there's no hope, you don't see a future, then life can be really really hard. So yeah,
Yeah. And there's more people like that than you can imagine.
yeah.
It's a
But
lot.
if you take good care of your body and good care of your sleep, you can feel a different person already. And if you walk in nature, you don't have to go to the gym, but just walk in nature, watch a little bee on a
Mm-hmm.
flower,
Mm-hmm.
watch the birds. So be present when you're out there, and just try to. That's also really healthy to connect with nature.
Yeah, that is, and it's something that I consciously try to do. Now, I have to say, here it is so hot, so
Yeah,
hot. You,
yeah,
you actually cannot. You can connect with nature and then fall out because you can't breathe. You can do that.
yeah, yeah.
So
Unbelievable. Yeah,
yeah, and it's been going on for. This was a pretty hot summer. It actually was a pretty hot summer. Very kind of scary
yeah,
that the temperatures are going up so high. But that's a whole nother
yeah.
discussion.
Well,
But
it is related because that's why I have my Facebook page. That's it's more about just our food. It's how we are treating the planet.
hmm yeah,
And it's because of the monoculture and because of the pesticides, because of the death of the bees that are so
mhm,
important for our food. It's all connected, and
very much so.
we keep on removing the forest. We
Yes.
are polluting the sea. If you add it all up, you think, what are we doing? So it's a wake
hmm
up call.
It is. It's a wake up call, and I hope it does actually wake people up. I really do. But
Yeah, because,
we're gonna take a quick break, so a quick commercial break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna continue our discussion with Claudia. Because it is really interesting to find out a little bit more about diets and mistakes that we might make, how we can really make this work for us or make whatever lifestyle we choose work for us for our best health. So we will be back in just a few shakes.
Do you suffer from bladder leaks? If you have ever leaked a little when you call for exercise, Help is available. One in 3 women experience bladder leaks in her lifetime. For a free consultation, visit our website, thepelviccoach.com.
And we are back. Just a quick commercial break. And that commercial is for all of you who have that little bit of leakage when you cough, sneeze, exercise, etc. You know who you are. You do not have to raise your hand. It's very, very common. But just know that help is there. We've talked about menopause here on this show. And also, I would like you to know that leakage is not a normal occurrence as we age. You do not have to live with it. Menopause can make it happen or make it worse, but there are things that you can do to mitigate that. So you can go to thepelviccoach.com, and if you're interested, it's information and different uh, things that you can learn on how to reduce and or eliminate your bladder leaks. But we are back now with Claudia, and we are going to go into what is the difference between diet and lifestyle. And we've kind of talked about this because, in our conversation, but just to make it clearer to the audience, what would you describe as the difference between the two?
Yes, a diet is an attempt to deprive your body from calories. Sometimes tricks or using shakes. So I see it as a way to trick our body for short-term weight loss. But in the end, if you will not change your habits, you will gain it all back. So that's the reason why diets don't work. 99% of diets fail. So only 1% of people succeed in weight loss. So I'm only one of the 1% now. And even only one of the 1% can keep it off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who you're talking to tonight. So it's really rare. And that's because in the end, a trick is a trick. So I don't believe in it. So I believe that um, if you make a good habit, it's automatic. You don't have to think about it. You don't need willpower because you have made it an automatic event that's happening. It's
Mm-hmm.
like brushing your teeth. It's like putting on your shoes. All the things that are made automatic, our brain doesn't have to think about it.
Right.
And it's easy. It's easy if it's a habit. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I concentrated during my during my journey mainly on the food in the beginning, and then something else happened. Last year in May, I started my in May, no, in March. I started in January with to work with a coach, and
Mm-hmm.
as I'm kind of a world changer. I want to create a better world. I had great plans of um, building my business, so I tend to forget myself in it because of my mission. And there was a period I was doing an interview with a vegan influencer in the evening. I had to do my bookkeeping. I had some rebuild at our home. There were several things playing at the same time. And it happened to be that 3 weeks in a row, I didn't have a weekend. I was working, working, working. I was creating a diet for a Dutch client. I even translated everything for her. So going the extra mile, but way, way, way too much.
Right.
And forgetting myself in the process. So in the evening, I was busy. There was no time to rest. And I already felt that my body was telling me something is not right. So I was laying in bed at night. I don't know if the listeners relate, but I felt my heart pumping in my body, and I felt that something was wrong. So I thought, well, maybe I need to go to the doctor and have another blood pressure check because I have been on blood pressure medicine, and because of my diet and my improving health, she agreed that we could try to get rid of the medicine. So since November, I was without the medicine. And in March, I felt really, really bad. So it was a day that I had 3 appointments in one afternoon. Yes, I'm busy. I know it's way too
Mhm.
much. I first went to a friend and to another meeting and then to the doctor. There I was in the doctor's room, and he puts the equipment on my arm and he says, "Oh, that's not good." And I said, "What's not good? Your equipment or my blood pressure?" He says, "Your blood pressure."
Mhm.
And guess what, Sheila?
What?
Two, let me say it correctly. Uh, Let me think. It was 220, 160.
No.
Yes.
Whoa.
And I really felt bad. I felt my body. So they say that you cannot feel a high blood pressure, but I can
Mhm.
feel it in my body if it's not good. And
Well,
he said,
220 over 160 is pretty significant.
yeah, and he said you could get a stroke, you could get a heart attack, you could fall down here right at the spot. So he said, you need to take medicine right now, and I will double the amount that you used to take. And I said, okay. And he said, you have to take a week off and cancel all your appointments.
Oh.
And will you promise that to me? He said. And I said, yes, I will. So I promised, and I did, because in that moment, if you feel that bad about your health, that's all that matters.
Mhm.
Then the other things are not that important anymore. So I was really scared for the first time in my life. So I'm not scared of death, so to say, but I was pretty shocked that it was so bad. And then
Mhm.
we're talking about lifestyle. So you can eat as healthy as you like, but if you don't take good care of yourself, if you don't sleep enough, if you don't take breaks, if you keep on going, 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 then you're not taking good care of
Mhm.
yourself. So that's when I started to implement me time. Me
Mhm.
time is in the morning. Me time is my visualization, doing something that energizes me, inspirational video, reading a book, having some coffee with my husband, just starting the day relaxed, making a plan of the day, making a plan of the week. So that's my me time.
Mhm.
And now the new thing I'm learning is to have breaks in between because I tend to be hyper focused. And when I'm in a flow, I forget all about time.
Ah.
So now I'm using an app to give me a signal after working 25 minutes, a 5 minute break, and then 25 minutes,
Mhm.
and again, and then a larger break. And you will be way, way, way more productive.
Yeah, I was just reading an article on that. Yeah, to do your work in chunks and always
Yeah.
take a break after. So yeah, 25, 30, whatever the minutes are. Um, yeah, you do it in chunks, and the chunks are not 2 and 3 hours. Like they're less
No,
than an
no, no,
hour.
no.
They're
But
shorter.
yeah, but if you're in the middle of something, so I do a lot of computer work, of course. Then if you're writing an article, you can be so in the flow that you forget about time if you don't
Mhm.
have a tool to help you
Mhm.
do that. So
Right.
it's so much better.
Yeah, I can imagine. So we have, well, about 10 minutes left, but I wanted to ask you, and you can tell me uh, whether or not this is a good question, but you created a lifestyle formula alive.
Yes,
Okay. Tell us about that.
yes, that's a program that is designed for a customized approach because I'm an evidence-based coach. So I get knowledge about scientific research, what works,
Mm-hmm.
and we test it. So we test what you're doing, your actions, and we test the output. So if the output is not correct, if, if there's no weight loss, we can see what's the next step you can do, what might work, and then we will find your own manual, so to say, of what is good in your life and in your body to lose weight.
Hmm. Okay. Your program strictly, I hate to use the word diet, well, food related. That's
It's lifestyle. It's lifestyle.
it's a whole lifestyle. Okay,
Yeah,
so you're looking at everything.
yeah.
Wonderful.
It's
And
it's aligned with your values. So that's the A. It's leave the processed food out of it. Yes, so leave it as much as you can. It's intermittent fasting, so it's regular meals during the day.
mm-hmm.
Uh, where am I?
B.
Uh, the V is vitality.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Uh-huh.
and the E is from energy and emotions.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so that's how to remember. And those aspects I think are important because not everyone has issues with emotional eating. But there are, no matter how you look at it, emotion is related to food because when you're socializing, that is when emotions are there and when food is there. And it's also when we are grown up as a child, we are comforted with food. So there is a relationship, but some people have an issue with it and some people don't.
That's yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So to oh so okay, so we have enough time before I ask this question because I didn't want a question to get cut off. So what are some easy steps that people can begin to use to lose weight on a plant-based diet?
Depends on if they're starting a plant-based diet. That's not my specialty right now. So I'm focused on people that are already plant-based and they want to up their nutrition. So to say, where I was 1 year ago, that I was vegan using the meat replacements and not knowing a healthy way to eat plant-based and lose weight. So
Hmm.
that's where I primarily am focused on right now. Um, But if someone would consider to go plant-based, I would say you would need to be sure that you will take vitamin B12 and D3.
Hmm.
So you might find that in a multivitamin because those are the B12 is a vitamin that you will lack because it's in meat, but
Me.
it's also an indirect vitamin that's in meat, so it's because of what the animals eat. So you need to supplement that, and for the rest, you can start with just one. For instance, one day you will eat plant based, so you will pick a Thursday being plant based or a Monday or whatever you like, and just experiment because once you taste it, you will be surprised how great it can be.
Hmm.
That's my challenge for people that have never eaten it
Right.
is there's a lot of recipes you can find online, and if you have friends, just ask them to give you an easy recipe to start with.
Hmm.
So that's one way you could do it, or you could say, I will go and replace one kind of meal for a week, and then another week you can start to replace your breakfast, for instance, and then the last week you can change your dinners
Hmm.
if
That's a
you would
good one.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you would like to go all the way.
That's a really good tip. That's pretty good.
But you decide on how to do it, but you can do it gradually. And of course, breakfast is the most easiest. Maybe to learn how to cook a dinner.
Mm,
You keep that till the end. I would do that way if I would start all over.
right. Do you batch cook? Like, do you cook several meals at one time?
Yes, I do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you did
Oh,
say back in the beginning that it kind of saves you time,
yeah.
but that's because you cook. Yeah, you
Yeah.
cook more than one.
That's one of my secrets of how to save time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because other than that, yeah, every day
Yeah.
you would be in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then let me see. I always have to check the time. But so one of the last questions I want to ask you though, because you did also talk about your Facebook group.
Yeah.
So can you tell people, maybe a little bit about it if they want to look into it, et cetera, where they can find it?
Yeah. They're
Well, if you
welcome.
found on Facebook, but
Yeah, no, good. Welcome to join. First of all, you can find me, Claudia Kaldenbach, at Facebook, and you will recognize me from the picture, I think. And it's pretty recent one. And there will be a link to the Facebook group. And in the Facebook group, we built a community of like-minded women who are all ready for weight loss and ready to learn. It's a positive environment. I share every week a free masterclass, so you will be able to get your questions answered. So we will
wonderful.
do a poll about what kind of topics we could discuss, and you can add your own poll to it, and people vote, and the most votes that will be the topic of the next week.
Hmm.
And I also share a recipe each week. I also share how to do videos, might give you tools. So there's a lot of free resources there. And for the people, so I would love people to join. You can just request to join. I will not test you how, if you're fully plant based, if you're only partly plant based or vegetarian, you're welcome as well. So
Okay.
you can transition there. And but my specialty is women in menopause. So
Hmm.
that's why I have that in the description. But anyone is welcome there to join.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for that information. I'm sure I like that you give recipes, that you give a lot of information. Just as could be before we got on, you told me that you were doing your Facebook Live or you were doing your Facebook. Just say the name of your last recipe that you did.
Let me think. That was a filled sweet potato with tomatoes and chickpeas, and it was really 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 good and really simple, easy to
Yeah.
make. Easy to
Yum. That reminds me, I was just at the grocery store before this. Like you say, we're always when everybody's running around, and then you come in and do what you got to do and then do something else. I was just at the grocery store and I know I ate my last sweet potato yesterday. So funny you said that. I'm not going back to the grocery store because it's hot.
make.
But
Okay, put it on your list. Put it on
yep,
your
I'm
list
gonna
for
put it
next
on my
time.
list. I'm gonna put it on
Yeah.
my list.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think the women that are really ready to get results right now, then I invite them to have a chat with me, because I believe that if you don't have to do it alone, you don't have to do the trial and error and make it painful. You can just
hmm
work with someone who's been there, who knows it all, and who can avoid you to make the mistakes that I can help you. I can help your listeners, watchers, to avoid to make mistakes that are unnecessary. So, and
wonderful.
I can customize your nutrition plan based upon your health, your based upon your length, your activity. So
hmm
that is what makes me different.
Excellent. Well, we are out of time. You see how fast that went. We are out of time. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you to the listeners for joining us. And don't forget, Living Well with Dr. Sheila is seen at 12 noon every Thursday. So I'll see you guys again next week. You all take care. Bye bye.
Bye.